Hello and welcome to the Covert Knits podcast. My name is Abigail Covert. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is Saturday, March 27th, 2021, and I am coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my knitting and yarn related podcast. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I can be found on the internet as at covert_knits on Instagram and at covertknits on Ravelry. I'll put that information right here on the screen, and it's also in the show description box below this video on YouTube. You can click the little down arrow and you'll see all of my show notes for this episode. Links to anything I talk about should be down there. If they're not and you're missing something or you have a question about something, please feel free to throw those in the comments section below. I do try to get back to comments as quickly as possible. Okay, a little bit of admin. Just wanted to remind everyone, I will be hosting the Pride Sockathon 2021 this year. It'll be our third annual Pride Sockathon. It'll start June 1st and run through June 30th. And in the upcoming weeks, I will be chatting a lot more about it. I'll be showing off some yarn I've purchased for it and finished projects from previous years, so you can kind of get an idea of what it's all about. But I did want to ask my viewers if anybody knows of any Pride related sock yarn that independent dyers are dyeing up. If you could throw those names down in the comment section. I've had quite a few requests for yarn dyers that are dyeing Pride themed yarn. It doesn't have to be rainbows. It can be any of the Pride themed yarns. I have some to show you here today from a dyer that I'll share. But I did have some requests, and I will share some of those over the next few weeks. And I have some already here in my Pride sock bin over here. But just wanted to I know there's some out there that I don't know about. And it's always fun to learn about new dyers. So just a reminder that is coming up, and we'll talk more about it in the upcoming weeks. Also, I will be doing a few extra episodes here in the next couple of months. The first one should show up sometime between now and the next podcast episode. These will be Covert Knits specials, where I do things that are not the normal FO whip stash enhancement. The first one will be a bag parade. So it's the Covert Knits special bag parade that I will be posting hopefully in the next week or so, if you're watching this in real time or current time, where I chat about all the different bags I have that have either whips or yarn wound up or projects ready to go but nothing done with them. So I'm hoping to kind of do a spring cleaning and clear out some of those project bags, and I thought I'd take you all along for the ride. That was one of the most requested extras that I asked about on the last episode. If you have any other suggestions for extras or content that you would like to see on the podcast, please make sure that you put that in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. I am also hoping to do a craft room tour sometime in the next couple months as well as another extra special episode. So that's what we have for admin. And then today's topics, I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, I have 3 FOs, including the one I'm wearing, so I'll talk about what I'm wearing and FOs. I have 2 whips, and then I have a little bit of stash enhancement and my knitting goals for the week, and then a fun raffle that I found out about that would help support a great organization. So I'll share a little bit about that at the end. So before we jump right in, I'm going to get a drink of water here. Sorry. Okay. So what I'm wearing. This is the Droplet Capelet by Denise Bayron of Bayron Handmade. I'll stand up a little bit so you can see it. It's not a full sweater. It's just a little cape. Goes here. You can kind of see it comes to a point. You can wear the point in the front or the back or on the side. I kind of like it on the side. There you go. It's kind of bunched up a little bit in the back, but there we go. But I love it. So this project is a paid for pattern. It was $8 US. I did purchase it from Denise's website, I believe. And the link I have below is for her website. Just a quick note on the links below. I do link to my project pages, which are on Ravelry. But if a designer has their patterns available on their website or an alternate website other than Ravelry, that's where I have it linked. Just because I know a lot of people can't use Ravelry right now. I I have some personal issues trying to use Ravelry, so I do use it and I still have an account, but it is difficult for me to use it. It does hurt my eyes quite a bit. I do tend to get headaches if I spend too much time on it. So I'm trying to accommodate some of those, and lots of designers have their designs on alternate websites or on their own personal websites that you can purchase them through. So those are what's linked below, but I'm sure almost all of these designers do have their patterns also available on Ravelry. So you can, the name and the designer are all listed below. You can certainly go search for them on Ravelry. So just a heads up on that. Okay, so paid for pattern, $8. I used orange flower yarn. Here is the tag. Orange flower yarns. And this is her BFL silk fingering, which is a really beautiful base. I really enjoyed working with it, and I love how the yarn takes the dye kind of heathery, and it's got that shimmer because of the silk in there. So this is colorway Candy Apple, and I had 2 full balls, and this is, or 2 full skeins, and this is what I have left of the second one. So, and I knit the size XL, which is the 55-inch bust size on this project. I did originally cast on the 3XL size, thinking that I would need a bigger size, but as I was doing the neck portion, it's a top down, I realized the neck would be out to here on me with the number of stitches that I cast on. I did about an inch of the neck and realized it just wasn't going to work. So I pulled it out and went down 2 sizes. And I am incredibly happy with the fit. I didn't check gauge because I never do, because I'm a terrible knitter. If you've been around a while, you know that that's kind of an ongoing theme with me, but I hesitated to go down 2 sizes. I almost went down only 1. I'm really happy that I went down 2. So I did use the needles it called for in the pattern, which uses a US 1 2.25 for the ribbing, and then a US 3 3.25 for the lace section. I am absolutely in love with the lace. It's a very simple lace repeat. This was very TV friendly knitting. I love the drape of this. I think for nicer events as we're coming out of the pandemic, and you know, people are having weddings and have places to go and work functions, that this would be something that I would throw on over this black dress or a black nice black top regularly. I really like it. It's simple to wear. It's very lightweight. It's, even though there's BFL in it, the silk, it's very lightweight. I don't think it would get me too warm. It covers my shoulders. I can't say enough good things about it. I love Denise's patterns. This is the 3rd pattern of hers that I've knit, and I have another one queued up and ready to go. So she is fast becoming one of my go-to designers. I love her clean lines, her pattern writing style. Yeah, she's great. So if you have a chance or haven't checked her out yet, please go do so. Denise Bayron Handmade. And then again, this is the Droplet Capelet in orange flower yarns. Okay, so that is FO1. Okay, FO2 is a pair of socks. These are my Mina's 2 at a Time socks by the Knitting Expat Designs, Mina Phillip. I have 2 of them here. So this is Mina's 2 at a Time sock pattern is a vanilla sock pattern that kind of teaches you how to knit 2 at a time socks if you've never done it before. It is a free pattern. She does have a vanilla sock pattern that's paid for that provides more information than what you are going to get in the free pattern. So if you want more information, I would highly suggest the vanilla sock pattern as opposed to the free Mina's 2 at a Time sock. But if you just wanted information about the numbers or just a basic sock recipe that to do 2 at a time, then the Mina's 2 at a Time sock pattern would work for you. This yarn is Mud Punch, and this is her Endeavor fingering base, and the colorways are Little Pink Stars for the speckle and Blistered Heart for the contrast. And I have a couple rounds of contrast here at the top. think I did the cast on in one round in the contrast, then I switched to the little pink stars. I did a total of 20 rounds for the cuff. I did 60 rounds for the leg. I did a German short row heel, which is something that Mina has in her patterns, which I really like. I did about 45 or 50 rows for the foot, depends on the yarn. That I measure more based on length than number of rows. And then I did a semi-rounded toe, which is also included in many of Mina's patterns. So these are knit on US 1.5 2.5 millimeter needles, and again 64 stitches. I did have quite a bit left over, so here's the Mud Punch card so you can see that. She also does awesome self-striping. So Mud Punch, little pink stars. It's an 80-20 base, so this is what I had left of the main color, probably 20 to 30 grams there. And this is what I had left of the contrast. And this was a 20 gram mini, so I did not use very much. I got probably 10, 15 grams, but I haven't weighed these. Anyway, so yeah, not a lot to talk about. These are just simple vanilla socks, no patterning. They were great for my knit night chatter and things like that. Working on during the workday when I just have a minute to do one round. These are great socks for that. So they are the third pair of socks I finished this year, and I'm trying to do one pair a month, or average one pair a month, except for June when I'll do a whole bunch. But yeah, so Mina's 2 at a time socks. Finished object number 2. Make sure I didn't miss any of my information on that. Don't think so. Okay. I have my notes down here, because otherwise I forget everything. Only when I'm on camera. I don't forget it otherwise. Okay. The third finished object is my third pair of dishcloths for the year. Again, along with the socks, trying to do a pair every month, I'm also trying to do one set of dishcloths every month, so that I'll have a whole bunch to gift at the end of the week. End of the year. So this was pair number 3. This was my March pair. I love this color. Picked this as my March color. Go figure. So this pattern is the Chinese Waves Dishcloth by Margaret Radcliffe. It is a free pattern on her website, so I've linked to that below. It's a 4-row repeat. It's very simple. I used Knit Picks Dishy Multi. This is an old band, but it's Dishy Multi, and the colorway is Caterpillar Multi. Caterpillar. So Knit Picks Dishy Multi Caterpillar. This is what I had left for after doing the 2 cloths out of 1 skein. So I like that I can get 2 dishcloths out of 1 skein there. Let me hold this one up. They're decent sized. They're knit back and forth across. They are not knit diagonal. And yeah, it's a simple 4-row repeat. These are knit on size US 7 4.5 millimeter needles. You cast on an uneven number. You follow the 4-row repeat. For these, I do 22 repeats of the 4-row repeat, and then bind off. And that's how I get 2 out of 1 ball. I used to do 24, but I couldn't get 2 full dishcloths. I had one that had 24 and one that had, 18 or 19 repeats, so I like them to be the same size because I gift them together, and then I'll wrap a bow around them and gift them for the holidays. So perfect, easy. Again, mindless knitting. I'm really sorry if you can hear the church across the street has they have people. It's nice outside today, so they have people outside working, and they just started up a chainsaw, so if you can hear that, I really apologize. Okay, that's it for whips. We are moving into, that's it for FOs. We are moving into whips. So whip number 1 is living in my Meet Me at Luke's bag by Lila Stiles. And let me get it out here. I was hoping this would be an FO, but I just didn't have enough time. This is my Snuggle is Real cowl. It is by Maxim Sear. And I am finished with the the stranded colorwork part. This is a paid for pattern. It is $9 Canadian, and as of today, that was $7.47 US. I am knitting this with 3 different colors of yarn, 2 different bases. So the gray is Anzula Cricket in the colorway Charcoal. The dark red is Anzula Cricket in the colorway Madam. And then this cowl is lined with mohair, which is the part I'm getting to as soon as I finish the ribbing up here. And I'm using Legacy Fiber Arts in Vanilla Bean. This is their cloud base, it's their mohair. So let me see here. Here is the Anzula Cricket label. This is an 80 superwash merino, 10 cashmere, 10 nylon DK weight. And then Legacy Fiber Arts, their cloud base is 72 kid mohair, 28 silk. So, let's see here. The shawl, or the cowl, it's a cowl, not a shawl, is knit on US 4s for the main part, and then, or sorry, US 6s, which is 4mm, and then I believe when I switch to the mohair, I'll move down to the US 4s, which is a 3.5mm. Again, this is a paid for pattern. I'm using the needles recommended in the pattern. I have about 1/2 inch or so left to go on this upper portion. I've already done the, let's see if I can find them on here. There. I've already done the holes that for the drawstring. So when this is finished, I'm going to, when I'm done with this section, I'll immediately start knitting the mohair. And then that mohair I'll pull down through the inside here, and I will attach it to where this blue yarn is. This is just waste yarn. It was a provisional cast on, so that it'll be a lined tube, mohair on the inside, and then the color work on the outside. And when I do that, that folds this over, and I will put a drawstring that I have knit, an I-cord drawstring, through the tube that this creates here for the cowl. I have put a picture up here so you will be able to see what I'm talking about, because I'm not sure if any of that made any sense. I'm really enjoying this. This pattern, this yarn is some of the softest yarn I've felt in a really long time. It's beautiful. I've had it in stash for ages and ages, multiple years. I don't even know when I got it, maybe 2016, 2017. So it's great to use it up. I'll use up quite a bit of it. So yeah, I think the I-cord in the pattern is knit in the mohair, which would be fine. I have plenty of mohair, but I actually think I might knit the I-cord in some of the leftover of the red, because I have plenty of it, and the I-cord will go a lot faster, and I would like to use that mohair for other things. So I think, and it will use up more of the DK. So I haven't decided yet, but I think that's where I'm leaning, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, that is whip number 1. It's my focus right now, is trying to get that off the needles. And once I get to the mohair, it'll be just smooth sailing, because that's just stuck in it. So knitting in the round. Okay. My next whip is a new cast on, and it is using some stash enhancement, but I wanted to get it started, so I went ahead and wound up the yarn. Which I don't usually do, but it is being housed in my Whimsy Stitches bag with all of my pins on them. I love my Whimsy Stitches bag. It's usually my go-to sock bag. Okay, so these are the London socks by Mina Phillip of Knitting Expat Designs. Who's shocked by my love of her designs? No one. Okay, so I've just cast them on, and I've just started the patterning. You can barely see it here. It's a knit purl pattern, so you can hardly see it here, but it is cast on, two at a time. This yarn is Fruitful Fusion, and the colorway is London Dusk. So the London socks are part of Mina's pattern club that is it's knitting or it's Around the World in 8 Socks. So starting in March, you bought the club, and March 1st, you got a pattern released. It was this pair, the London socks, and she gave you the pattern, and then you can knit it up in whatever yarn you wanted. And then on April 1st, I will get the pattern for the next city around the world. And so the pattern, what you're paying for Mina is just a pattern club. I paid for it prior to the club starting, so mine was a little bit discounted, but the current cost is £25, and which is $34.48 US dollars as of today. So this is, again, a pattern club. It'll be 8 socks total, and you get the pattern at the first of the month. And then what she's done is she's partnered with BIPOC dyers around the world, who dyed a colorway specific for that month, for that city, that themed city. So the dyers are doing pre-orders. The yarn is separate. When you sign up for the club, you don't get yarn. It's not a yarn and pattern club. So this was the colorway for March for the London socks, by Fruitful Fusion. Again, I think I showed this, but if I didn't, Fruitful Fusion is the dyer. And then she has a different dyer for the April socks, which you could pre-order if you wanted. Or, again, it's just a pattern club, so you can use whatever yarn in your stash. I could have used any of these yarns up here instead of purchasing. I don't know that I will knit, or I will purchase all of the coordinating yarns. I will say that because I'm purchasing the yarns from countries outside of the U.S. in most situations, that was not inexpensive. I think in the end, I ended up paying approximately $48 to $50 US dollars for this one skein of yarn, which is not an inexpensive skein of yarn. So it is not affordable for everybody to purchase the yarn, but that doesn't mean that you can't purchase the sock patterns. Eventually the sock patterns will be released one at a time, but right now you can only get the sock patterns if you purchase the club. And once the club is over, the prices go up. Mina has a whole video about this on her channel, the Knitting Expat. You can go watch it. It's called the Around the World in 8 Socks video, so you can watch it. She goes over all the details. But I'm just giving you a little brief glimpse of it here. So, okay, so London Dusk. This yarn is 100% superwash BFL. It's got quite a tight twist to it. You can see that it's kind of twisting up on itself here, which is good since it doesn't have any nylon in it. You need that twist to make it more hard wearing. Besides, BFL is a little bit more hard wearing than merino would be anyway. I am knitting this on US 1.5s, 2.5 millimeter. She calls for, I think, a 2.25 in the pattern, but I almost always go up to my preferred 1.5, 2.5 millimeter size whenever I'm knitting socks. I did choose the 64 stitches. These sock patterns are so inclusive. She has the pattern written for top down, cuff, toe up, and I think she's got like 5 or 6 different sizes. So I picked the medium size, which is the 64 stitches, because that's my standard for socks. But I think she starts at like a 48 stitch or a 56 and goes all the way up to maybe an 80 stitch count. So it's very inclusive. Definitely check her out. You can get her designs on PayHip, which is what I've linked to below, or on Ravelry. So, London socks. These are just started. They won't be done by the end of March, but they've taken the place of my other socks. They are patterned, so I have to pay a little bit more attention, but it's not too bad, and I'm really enjoying them so far. So, and I'm loving how that color is working out. Okay, so that's it for whips today. I have other whips that have not been touched. Those are the only things. These projects that I finished and the whips that I showed you are the only things that have had any work on them since the last episode. So let's go to stash enhancement. Again, I don't have a ton, which I know some of you really appreciate. And if you're not interested in stash enhancement, you can either fast forward or if you're ready to go, thank you for stopping. I do have a few things to talk about after I'm done showing off the yarn, but I had the Fruitful Fusion as one, and then I have 2 other dyers that I purchased some yarn from. So the next one, these These were March clubs for Teeny Button Studios. So if you ordered either the Gilmore Girls Club or the Taylor Swift Club, then, and you haven't gotten them yet, you'll want to look away. This is my spoiler alert for those. I did get mine and I love them, so I'm going to show them here. Again, if you ordered the March Club from Teeny Button Studios for Gilmore Girls or Taylor Swift, look away now. So this is a Very Swift Yarn Club, the Taylor Swift Club. This is the March colorway. It is themed on the song You Belong With Me. And that orange is giving me all of the feels today. I love it. I love all the pops of color. I actually don't know that I'll knit socks with this because it has so much white in it, and I have learned over the years not to knit socks with this much white, but I love the idea of doing a hat with some contrast on the brim with the orange and then a pom-pom out of the orange. I talked about that at my knit night recently, and people really like the idea, so I think that's what that will be. And then this is the Gilmore Girls Club for March as well. This is just stunning. This colorway is called TJ's in Escarot, which if you've watched the show, you are familiar with the line. I love it. I actually reached out to Robin and let her know that somebody had asked me when we were doing the Gilmore Long last fall if I knew of any companies that had yarn themed after TJ, who was their favorite character, and I said no, I hadn't, but I hadn't seen any. But if I ever dyed my own yarn for Gilmore Girls, I would have a TJ colorway, and I would call it I'm in Escarot. So when I saw this and opened it up and said the colorway was TJ's in Escarot, I immediately reached out to Robin and said, this is amazing, and exactly what I would have called it. And I love this yarn. So thank you, Robin. Your yarns are always my favorite. So those are my clubs. Those cannot be purchased right now. I think she does release the colorways later on as, you know, individuals, not as clubs, not as sock sets necessarily. I did purchase the sock set option. I think she might have had options on her website when you order her clubs to only get the skein of yarn and not the mini. And I think she is still doing the Taylor Swift Club for April, but I don't think she's doing another Gilmore Girls Club. I think she's putting that one to the back burner and she has lots of clubs. Almost every month she's got a club going on. She's lots of different themes. I know she's done Animal Crossing. I know she's done, I don't know. She's got lots of interests, and they all go into the clubs. So check her out if you're interested. I've talked about her a lot. Okay, my last stash enhancement, see, small this time, see, is from a company that actually a viewer sent me a message about because they had Pride themed yarns, and it was a dyer I'd never heard of before. So this is Mary and May, and they are out of Illinois. And I got 2 skeins of yarn from them. I purchased this one, which is the non-binary flag colorway, and I love it. I love that it's got the chunks of color. So the non-binary is the yellow and the purple and then the gray. But then it's got all of those speckles of those colors as well on the light gray base. And then I got the bisexual Pride colorway as well. So the bisexual is purple, blue, and pink. These darker purple, blue, and pinks. And then those speckles. So yeah, those are going into the sock bin for Pride Sockathon. Okay. In my other / knitting goals section, I already talked about the bag parade video at the beginning, so I don't have to go over that. A few weeks ago, I was watching a podcast. I was watching the Little Red Mitten podcast, which is a great podcast. You should check it out. It's here on YouTube. I have linked to it below, linked to their page below. Carrie and Jolynn, they are the owners of the Little Red Mitten yarn store I think it's in Ontario. And they constantly are trying to work through their whips. They have large whip piles, and they're trying to come up with ideas, and they have a challenge. I think it's almost over now, but they had a challenge to work through whips and all these things. So they talked on one of their episodes about a method that they had found called the Gideon method, and I will have it linked below. It was originally published on the Wool and Honey blog. Wool and Honey is a yarn store in Michigan, and they posted 2 different posts about what they called the Gideon method. I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis of it here, but I would urge you to go, if it sounds like something you're interested in to work through some of your whips, to go check out the blog posts that I link below. So the Gideon method is that if you have a lot of languishing whips or whips that you're having a hard time motivating yourself to work through, you pick 5 whips, and then for each whip, you can work on it for you work on it for 12 hours. So I've picked one of my whips was this Capelet. So I set a timer. I picked 5 of my projects and I set a timer for 12 hours for this Capelet. And I had to work on this Capelet for 12 hours of my knitting time, or until it was completed if it was less than 12 hours. So this was completed in 5.5 hours. So I completed it and it is now off my whip list. So next I am working through the Snuggle is Real cowl. I think I've put approximately 4 hours into that already. And I've still got about 8 hours left on my timer. So I have just a timer app on my phone that I pause and start whenever I sit down to knit. And then once that is done, then I'll work on the next project. So I could add, once these projects are finished, if I have other whips, I can add them into those places. One of the keys, however, is if I don't finish the Snuggle is Real in the 12-hour allotted time frame, then it goes to the bottom of the pile. And I have to work through all of the other whips in the 5 listed for 12 hours a piece until I get back to the Snuggle is Real. So you have to just kind of move through them. I don't foresee this being something that I use all of the time, but for me, I have a couple of languishing whips, specifically my parents' sweaters that were Christmas gifts for 2020 and have not been finished, that I need to be motivated to work on. So I started out with a couple of small whips that I knew would probably be able to be done in the 12-hour increments. And then I'm going to move, the next whip after the Snuggle is Real is to work on my mom's sweater for 12 hours of knitting time. Now, there is a little bit of leeway. I will be working on my London Dusk socks during work hours, or occasionally during knit nights when it's harder for me to control the timer and pay attention to what I'm doing. So you can have kind of an ongoing whip if you're a parent that takes socks with you to school pickup, or you have doctor's appointments and you like to have something with you, then I would say that is a whip that's outside of your 5. But that's my own personal opinion. Please go through and read, again, it's the Wool and Honey blog, the Gideon method. It's really fascinating to me. I'm hoping, again, to work through my parents' sweaters and then get back to casting on things that I want to cast on. Because one of the things that I'm having issues with is because I feel personally guilty for not finishing my parents' sweaters, and that's my own personal thing. It doesn't have anything to do with them or anything like that. I don't feel like I can cast on another adult sweater for myself, which I have an entire shelf of this thing here. The entire top shelf is all sweater quantities. So I would love to be able to be casting on sweaters for myself, but I don't feel like I should right now because I have these sweaters that are kind of hanging over me. I also have several baby and wedding gift projects that are coming up this year that I would like to work on as well. So I might use this as kind of a motivator to get those projects done. But for the most part, it's just for me about these really heavy languishing whips. I love to knit, and sometimes these kinds of things kill my mojo, and I don't like that. Obviously, I've still been casting on all kinds of other things. For some reason, it doesn't hold me back from casting on projects that aren't sweaters, but I just feel that guilt, again, it's all of my own making, for not working on my parents' sweaters. And it's only because I want them to have the sweaters and I know how much they'll enjoy them. So I really would like them to have them, and it seems silly to give them to them in July in Nebraska because it's very warm. So that's the Gideon method. So if you're interested, check out the Little Red Mitten podcast. I think it was a couple podcasts ago that they talked about it the first time, but they've been bringing it up in subsequent podcasts, and then also the Wool and Honey blog. Okay, and then the last thing is right before I posted or recorded this, I saw on Instagram from Legacy Fiber Arts, who is the yarn dyer that I'm using their mohair in the Snuggle is Real. If you don't know who they are, you can go check them out on Instagram. They have a podcast. They are doing a raffle The raffle tickets are $5, and it's through March 31st. So if you're watching this anytime in the next day or two, then you still have time to go purchase a raffle ticket. But the proceeds for the raffle are going to a group that is called Hate is a Virus, and it's their community action fund. So they're hoping to raise $2,000. They may already be at that number, but the Community Action Fund is hoping to raise $1 million. So this is just their hope for that, to help out with that. And I did have, let's see if I still have it here. Okay, so I'm reading from the Hate is a Virus website, which I have linked below, hateisavirus.org. We are raising $1 million to give back to local and national community organizations that are providing pivotal services and programs for our community. This includes programs related to mental health, better protections for our elderly, AAPI, which is Asian American Pacific Islander representation, solidarity building, and more. So, you can go to their website. Again, it's linked below. You can go to the link for the raffle, which I've also linked below, for Legacy Fiber Arts. They are raffling off, I think it's their entire spring collection, which is on their Cozy Toes base, which is their MCN. It's $160 value. Raffle tickets are $5. The more tickets you purchase, the better your chance of winning. I think it's a great cause. I really like to see Yarn Dyers doing this kind of thing, or just members of our community. That's one of the things that's so pivotal about Pride Sockathon for me, is making donations. It's not just about knitting socks all month. It's about or rainbow themed socks, because I mean that's fun and great and everything, but it doesn't mean as much for me if I'm not making donations. So to organizations that need it. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, or if you've been looking at their yarn and you really like it and you want a chance to win some for $5, make sure you make a donation. I did mine this morning. I put in a couple of raffle tickets, so I'm excited about that. So hateisavirus.org is the website for just you can make a donation there too if you're not interested in doing the raffle, or if you're seeing this after March 31st, you can make a donation directly on their website as well. So I think that's it. My knitting goals are just working on my working through the Gideon method. I don't have any goals beyond that at this time. I'm sure I'll cast some things on. Yeah, I'm always pulling yarn and wanting to find things to cast on. So you never know what the next episode will bring. So I hope you are all having a great day, whatever day this may be when you're watching, and that you're getting to do something that you enjoy, and hopefully something that involves yarn or fiber. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.